Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Insights of a Headhunter. And today I have a special guest with us. I have Gillian Whitney in the house. Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Tina. Thank you for having me on.
And today we will be talking about the art of authentic communication. And for people who don't know Gillian, we have collaborated over many years and we wrote a book together. But for people who don't know you, tell about yourself, what you do and where you're based.
Sure. So where I'm based is always a difficult one. So I'm a digital nomad. So it's like, where am I today? Sort of like, where's Waldo? So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Gillian Whitney. I am a live stream strategist, and I'm also a business book coach. And I like to help people get their thought leadership either into video or into words. So either or. And right now I am based in Texas, but my company is actually in Las Vegas. So I'm always on the road. So this week I'm in Texas and it snowed. So it's just crazy.
We also had snow here a couple of days ago. So this is what happens during the winter time. So we wrote a book together. Yay! And I wanted to talk to you more specifically today about presentations and about communication. So I know you have a great story that you want to share. Do you want to start with that one?
Sure. So let me just back up for 1 second. And I just want to talk about our book in terms of our book was, basically it's Your Voice Matters, present from the heart. And so presenting from the heart is authentic communication. It's being very real, being true to yourself, and also making that connection with your audience. But what we say about our book is this book, it is designed to help people put together a presentation, but it's more than that. And that we're always presenting from the heart. So whether you're doing what you do, Tina, where you're coaching people to be in job interviews, that also is being authentic communication and presenting from the heart. And also too, with me, with live streaming and videos, again, these are great examples of speaking from the heart, being real, being authentic. So I just wanted to tell people, even though our book is about presentations, it's really about communication and being real. So one of the things we talk about in the book is the importance of storytelling and always having a story ready, whether you're at a job interview, whether you're making a video, doing live streaming, doing podcasts, or whatever. And it's always good to have some stories. So I was thinking as I was logging in this morning, well, what's a story I could share? Because I always love to share a story and I don't always share the same one. So I decided I would pick something from the news. So in the United States, yesterday, we got a new president and we had our presidential inauguration. And I want to tell a story about what happened at the inauguration, because I think this is a perfect illustration of something we talk about in the book. And for the presidential inauguration, it was supposed to be outside. And at the last minute, they said, no, the weather's going to be too cold. So all of a sudden they had like 1 or 2 days to like literally say, okay, everything that was going to be outside is now going to be inside, which means very few people could attend this. So it was, kind of like the most elite. It was congressmen and senators and all these different people. There was tech giants and business people. So it was kind of like America's elite was here. In addition, it was being live streamed to millions of people all over the world. So I was watching it along with other millions of people. And after the president was sworn in, the new president was sworn in, Carrie Underwood, who is a country singer, beautiful country singer, she was invited to do a song. And she's not political. She's just a country singer. She's beautiful, beautiful voice. And her song was America the Beautiful, which is a difficult song to sing in the first place. I think I could say like the first line. It's a hard song with hard words. It's not an easy song to sing. So she gets up. Think of being in the Capitol building. She's in this rotunda, this room. Everyone's waiting for her. The president has just been sworn in. So it's like, this is the ultimate performance. Okay. So she gets out and she looks gorgeous, shows up in this beautiful dress. She goes out, she has the microphone and she starts to sing. And after like 1 second, the music cut out. And it was just like, oh my gosh, talk about the worst time for this tech snafu. And there was 30 seconds of awkward silence where they couldn't get the music to go. I don't know if it was the tape or the band or the microphones or whatever. And you can see everyone's going, oh my gosh, we're like live. This is like the most important moment right now in the whole world. And nothing's happening. 30 seconds of dead space. And then all of a sudden, Carrie Underwood, you saw her just go, I got this. And she says, I'll just sing this. And if you know the words, sing along with me. And she belted out America the Beautiful, which is an incredible song, a cappella, which is like no music, just singing by herself. And it was beautiful because it reverberated in this Capitol building, the rotunda's like incredible echo. And it was actually better than if she had had the music. But here's where she kind of like, to me, took it up a notch. She embraced this incredible technical snafu, didn't fall apart, owned it, took charge, went ahead, delivered the best performance that she could do. And she knew that time had ticked and they were behind schedule. They weren't going to have the long musical interludes between verses. So she knew to shorten the song to just 1 or 2 verses and ended it. And that was it. And like, some of the choir sung along with her and a couple people in the audience sung along with her. To me, that is speaking from the heart. She knew it. She owned it. She handled the tech snafu. So to me, embracing moments like that is authentic communication.
That's brilliant. It really makes me think about also job interviews where so many things can go wrong, especially the virtual interviews that we have nowadays. Oftentimes the tech is working, but so many times, even if we have done it hundreds of times, when it doesn't work, what do? You have to think on your feet, and the same thing is expected from you in the job as well. So if you demonstrate that something goes wrong, like when the internet connection disappears or you need to log in again and in and out, you need to keep the calm, like have ice in your belly, because that's what companies want to see. That's what hiring manager wants to see, that you are capable of handling the situation, because we never know what will happen. There are so many unexpected things, and some hiring managers make the interview process on purpose, like they try to stress you so they will see the worst of you. I don't I'm not member of that school. I don't believe that, because I think the world brings you those challenges anyway. So if you are if you do your best and don't stress the candidate, that's the best way to go about it. But really to show that if you have an assignment to prepare, that you respect the time limit as well. If you're asked to do a presentation of half an hour, stick to the presentation of half an hour. That was our challenge as well. It's easy to do 1 hour presentation, but to keep it on the key message and also respect the time.
Absolutely. Because you're better off to do what Carrie Underwood was, which is like, okay, over deliver by making it shorter. Like you said in the book, nobody ever is going to complain that you finished 2 minutes early, but they will complain if you went on and on and on and you were 10 minutes overtime. So, those are great things to balance. And like you said, with the job interviews, I remember once I heard a story of somebody who was interviewing for a job and their internet kept going, wonky, and they turned off their camera. And they said, obviously, I have a really bad internet connection. I don't want it to be a distraction. So I'm turning off my camera. I'm here, I'm present, but I just don't. And they just took charge of the situation. And the people who were interviewing them was like, well, that's somebody who really knows how to take control and recognizes the situation. And I think one of the interviewers was like, I didn't even know that could help, like turning off the camera. Yes, your video takes up so much of your computer's resources. So that's always a good thing to do too.
And I think it's important to communicate that as well, that I'm going to turn off the camera if that's okay with you, to save the broadband, not just disappear. And so it's really about your intentions and what you want to do, and walk through your audience, what you're going to do, and what's the purpose. So, and you had another story about yesterday.
So yesterday, really sometimes watching what's going on in the world, watching the news is just so enlightening. So always when you see these kind of big galas, you look at what is everybody wearing, it's like, oh, her hat, her gown, her this, her that, and everything else. So anyways, there was one of our senators who's from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, and he showed up at the Capitol at the inauguration, which is like pretty much everybody is there. It's the most dressed up occasion, suits and gowns and everything else. And he was wearing a hoodie and gym shorts. And you just went, that's a senator. So again, it just made me laugh, TIINA, because you think about, there are what we wear is also about what we communicate. So when we go somewhere, my take would always be, I would rather be overdressed than underdressed, because it shows that you're taking it seriously. So if you were job interviewing, should you go in a jacket or should you show up in a hoodie and gym shorts?
It's funny because in my previous book I made a sketch note, and when we talk about communication, it's also about visual communication and making it authentic. So it's not AI created presentation. So it's something. So when you were telling me this story, I remembered this job interview. So if the candidate feels excited about the job interview and it's a really high paying job, like the senator job, and then what do you decide to wear to the interview? You show up in a hoodie and you're late on top of that as well. So what kind of signal do you send out to your audience?
Absolutely.
Is it of respect, or like, do you really want that job, or do you want to stay in that senator job, or like it's a small protest, I think, as well in a way. So you really have to, depending on which industry you're interviewing for as well. If it's IT programming job, go with the hoodie. Like this is your uniform. But if it's something in a more traditional, in banking, insurance, people still nowadays wear suits, not ties anymore. But everyone would be wearing a suit and a nice shirt. And if you would come in something less, it would be sending signals that you are not aware. And will you meet clients like this as well? So it wouldn't send the right signal. So being overdressed is always a bit better than being underdressed.
Absolutely. And do your homework. Do your homework to see what the corporate culture is, because like you said, it could be sort of like a Gen X company where it's like, oh, we all have flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. So, kind of, and talk with your headhunter to help you. What is appropriate for this place, and don't just show up in the hoodie unless you're a senator.
Yeah, he sent a very good message with his outfit. I want to talk to you about the Q&A, because in job interviews, one part that is very important, that's a missed opportunity, and also with presentations, is the questions and answers afterwards. So how to prepare for that one. And I think this is where you can really make a good impression and stand out from the rest of the other candidates when you have prepared your questions, and when you also add some passion, personality, and fun, because there is nothing better than saying with your verbal communication that you're equals, you're talking as partners. It's not an interrogation. It's, you're not less than they, you really are hiring a sparring partner, somebody to exchange ideas and to work for the common goal.
Yes, absolutely. And I can tell you from my background in Toastmasters, I won a contest for what's called impromptu speaking, which is like being able to just speak off the top of your head. And you had no idea what the questions were going to be. So it's not like you could prepare a bunch of answers and, oh, I'll just memorize these 10 answers and I'll be good. You have no idea what the question's going to be. But what you can do is you can get good at just being able to answer off the top of your head. So I would practice by just having a bunch of, I had a big bowl, like a big jar, and I had little questions, and they could be, why is the sky blue? You know, like they had nothing to do with anything, but I would take one out every day, read the question, and then say the first thing that came into my head. And that's the trick. When you're doing Q&A, what you have to do is trust your gut. Trust your gut that you know the right answer. And that's why it's always good to have a couple of stories, because you could, if you can't think of anything, you could always say, well, you know, it's funny that you asked me about, you know, a dress code at work, because I heard this funny story about a senator that showed up in shorts and a hoodie at the president's inauguration. So then you can like just say, I wouldn't have feel, you know, that gives you a couple minutes to think, so that you would say, that probably was being underdressed. And as much as I believe in individuality, I would listen to the corporate culture. So then you sneak your way out of that. So I think preparing by knowing, you know, different things, having some stories that relate to your point, and have some good examples from your own life of, you know, how do you show that you were a team worker? You might have an example about, I was on a team, we worked 6 months, but we got this thing out. Everybody said we couldn't do it, but we did it. Those are the kind of stories that prove or basically back up what you're trying to say. So, you know, jot those down, do a little drawing, do a mind map, all those kind of things.
Yeah. And I was thinking, this picture is from the book that we were all during the conference. All the speakers were at the stage, and the questions came, and you didn't know to whom the question was, and so there were different questions. Sometimes it was specific for someone. So you really need to know what question is asked to you and listen, and can you bring value? Otherwise, you can just say, I think the better person to answer this question is next to me, or
Exactly. And it's also okay to clarify. If you have no idea what questions somebody's asking, you can say, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Can you rephrase it and put it back on them? That gives you another minute to be thinking. So there's lots of things you can do. But even going back to what we said earlier about doing your homework and finding out how a company is, you should have some questions in your head too, of what would you ask about the company. And if you do your homework on the company, then you might see that, like, oh, they like to have a casual Friday where everybody, you know, goes out and they bike ride. And so maybe you just kind of say, you know, if they say, why do you want to work for us? And it's just like, I'm a really sports nut and I love to do bicycling and I like to be very healthy. And so I was really attracted about how you all go out and do bike riding. So, you know, or you can ask some questions about, you know, where do you see this company going in the next 5 years? I saw that you just got bought out by so-and-so. So now that you're merging and you're bringing two different groups of people together, how is that going to affect you? So that makes you sound like you did your homework and you're interested. So Q&As can go either way.
Yeah, and I think I never told anyone you did too much homework. Like, the amount of research that you can do, it never goes wasted, because if you end up getting the job, you already have earned some time. What I think is also important is the follow-up. So if you do a presentation for a company, or if you go to a job interview, because to me, if somebody follows up after the interview, it also shows their motivation, their interest, because some people go to many job interviews and they have so many things going on, but just a follow-up, connecting with the persons you met on LinkedIn, building those relationships, because often the hiring process is not straightforward. Like in the ideal situation, yes, the company would meet a candidate, they would offer the job, they would sign the contract, and it's done. But often things happen that maybe the candidate who signed doesn't show up on the first day, or after 3 months they change their mind, or something happened. So if you build the relationship, that's where the gold is in the follow-ups. Because
Absolutely. And that's why I highly recommend video. Video is an excellent follow-up tool. I love to use a program called Loom. You can use it for free and do short videos. They just have to be 5 minutes or less. And like, that's really, you don't even want a video to be that long. Like basically 1 minute is good. And what you can do is you could be on LinkedIn, go to their company page, make sure you follow their page, because that will show up in your video. And then you could do a screen share, and you're just a little circle bubble, and have their company in the background, have their profile up. So you're doing a screen share of their company page on LinkedIn, you as a little circle bubble. And then you can just say, thank you very much for the opportunity to interview with you today. I'm really excited and I look forward to hearing from you. And if they see their company and you followed their company, that says a lot in one short little video. So that's an excellent way to follow up. Because like, if I see a video and it's got my LinkedIn profile on it, I'm going to click and watch.
So let's head to the comments. We have people joining us live from different places. We have Jeff Young. He is saying, here in the front row, supporting my heart-centered peeps, TIINA and Gillian. Namaste. Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we have Keith. Hello, TIINA and Gillian. And he says, I still feel uncomfortable if I realize I'm overdressed, but you're right, less uncomfortable than if I were underdressed. I think that's, yeah, it's always better to be a bit overdressed than the opposite.
Plus also too, TIINA, there could be things that, like, if you showed up and you were in a suit, maybe if everybody else wasn't in a suit, maybe you could like loosen your tie. Our body language can do things. If I felt, everybody was in tank tops and I'm sitting here in this jacket, I could always take my jacket off and just say, oh, it's a little warm in here. I'm just going to take off my jacket. Now, all of a sudden, I've dressed down to equal the playing field. So I think there's things we can do, but it's very hard to dress up in the moment.
Yeah, I was just thinking about shoes. If I would arrive in high heels and everyone would be in flip-flops, I could just take them off and we would be on the same level. But I wouldn't be standing on my toes to rise up to the moment. So we also have Felipe Confino joining us. Hi, Felipe. And he says, it's a valuable skill to have, but hard to demonstrate unless you are in the moment. I don't know which skill it is, but
maybe he means authentic communication. It's very hard. It's like you do have to just demonstrate it in the moment that you're able to do these kind of things, and just whatever.
And also he says, do your research and prepare for the interview. This is what you can do. You may only have one chance to present your best self. That is true. It really, you only get one chance to do the first impression, and it doesn't cost anything to arrive on time and be polite and have done your homework, so that people see that you really just don't say with words, I'm interested, I'm motivated, but you know what it's about, and you present the match with your background.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we have also Kevin the Turner joining us. I'm late, TIINA and Gillian, but I'm in. So thank you for joining us, Kevin. He was also on the picture earlier on the Q&A on the stage. So, and we have Bill Garland joining us. Toastmasters is a wonderful organization. Great suggestion, Gillian. What would you say to people who don't know, and what are the benefits of Toastmasters?
First of all, it's very inexpensive. It's worldwide. And so you can join Toastmasters. You go to Toastmasters and then you see something called Find a Club. And then you just put in the zip code or the city of where you live, and it will say, oh, there's 6 clubs by you. And then you can just figure out, oh, I like Wednesdays at 7, or I like a Thursday afternoon lunchtime club. There's all sorts of different clubs that you can join. It's very, very inexpensive. So compared to other, speakers associations and things like that, Toastmasters is very, very reasonable. And what I like about Toastmasters is it gives you a way at every single meeting to practice your communication skills and your leadership skills, which is what we need whether we're doing video or going for a job or, presenting on the stage. They're all important. And what you can do is you select a track that you want to do. So I might say, I want to do public relations, and that's the track I do. So I'm going to do speeches that would help me strengthen those skills. Somebody else might be wanting to do some things like effective team communication in the workplace. So you can choose all these different routes that you want to go. And whether you're giving a speech at a club or you're doing impromptu speaking, that's every week they do an impromptu speaking and people volunteer. And sometimes you get volunteered to do it. They also do analysis of a speaker, a critique. And so somebody will give a speech, and if you listen to how the other person will evaluate them, you're like, ooh, that's a good thing. Like, one of the things I laugh and talk about at Toastmasters is I thought I was a great speaker, and I went to Toastmasters, and this guy told me in my evaluation, he goes, you have T-Rex arms. And I went, T-Rex arms? That sounds horrible. What's that? And he says, you talk like this with your arms pushed in. So he said, you have to be expansive and own the stage and, rah, do different things. Well, I never would have known that if he didn't mention that. So you're getting constructive feedback, not just people going, oh, you're an awesome speaker, or, oh, you're terrible. You learn how to fix what you might need to work on.
And that's something that we also talk about in the book, about getting feedback, and when it comes to job interviews, doing the mock interviews.
Yes.
Maybe not with your closest family members. It needs to be somebody who is a bit further away, so that you can take the feedback and also implement it. But the best way is to go out there and practice and take every opportunity, like you said, with the jar, with the questions. It's a skill that we can practice, and what we say in the book as well, everyone has an authentic voice, and somebody maybe just needs to hear the same message from you that will impact them.
I love that. And remember, LinkedIn has that job interview prep where you can do practice videos and you can see how you handle these questions. And then you can also send them to colleagues, or maybe you're working with a coach, and then they can give you some feedback. So there's just so many opportunities that nowadays you can't just say, well, I don't know how to do it. There's there's so much material out there to help us, so many different ways to practice. So if you want something, it's really, you're able to get it.
Okay. So our time is up for today. Are there some final thoughts that you want to leave us with?
Go get this book. This book is a great book. Our book is available on Amazon. Just show you, we got this nifty little mug that we made with the book. You can't buy the book, but you can buy the book, but you can't buy the mug. But this book is available on Amazon, Kindle, or paperback. And like I said, it's more than a public speaking manual. It's really about how to communicate from the heart, and how to present from the heart. And truly, like the title says, your voice matters. And that's absolutely true. Everybody's voice matters. So I'm cheering you all on.
Yes. So it's goodbye from Gillian, goodbye from TIINA. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.